Titles changed hands, and Roman Reigns and CM Punk were victorious, but who were the real winners and losers of Survivor Series War Games? Hey everyone, Rob Wong, joined alongside by Postmedia's wrestling writer Jan Murphy. And Jam, what a night it was in Vancouver at Survivor Series War Games. We'll get to who doesn't look great coming out of the PLE, but we got to start with the flip side. Who do you think were the biggest winners this weekend?
Well, you mentioned them right off the top, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. What I found interesting was Punk was a late addition to this match, and the chemistry that he and Reigns shared stood above most things for me on Saturday night. Between the little looks that they had, Roman Reigns looked at him in the cage with the cagey eyes, and then they had interactions in the ring, and the finish was fantastic. And we came out of it not really knowing exactly what's going to happen with CM Punk and Roman Reigns, but we know something is going to happen. And Paul Heyman owes a favor to CM Punk, which we can only imagine will involve Roman Reigns at some point. To me, they were the two biggest winners. I also thought just that whole storyline, again, this bloodline storyline that's been going on for 5 years continues to be one of the most compelling and interesting and best told stories in the history of the business. Where it goes from here, that's where it gets interesting for me now. When does The Rock get interjected back into this? Where does Cody Rhodes fit into this with Roman Reigns? What happens now with Jacob Fatu and some of the other members, Solo Sikoa? So they come out of this kind of resetting it a bit, which I think is good for heading into the new year and the road to WrestleMania. Lots of possibilities. So again, that storyline keeps winning for me. In the women's match, Io Sky, I thought had one of the best performances. Great spot off the top of the cage with the colored garbage can. Tiffany Stratton continues to impress me with her. She improves every time I see her, both in the ring and with her storytelling. She teased the Money in the Bank cash in, which I thought was great, and they never went there. It's always nice to remind people and fans that she has that, and that could be cashed in at any minute. Probably the only criticism I'd have of those matches is they're a bit long. It's a big ask for fans. The 25 minutes or so before we get the actual match starts can be a little heavy, but Braun Breaker was another big winner for me. Continues to prove that he's probably the best young talent in the entire business right now. He put over Sheamus in that match, left us wondering if Sheamus was going to win the title, but we were okay when he didn't. Sheamus has been around a long time. Ludwig Kaiser had a great performance in that match as well. I thought that was probably the best of the non-War Games matches. Love what Braun Breaker's doing, and excited to see what the future holds for him. And finally, I thought Shinsuke Nakamura, a guy who really has struggled to find a spot back at the top of the card for a while. They've tried some different things. They make him go away and bring him back again. I think it's working. I like that they put the title on him this time. It gives him some credibility. It helps him more, I think, than it hurt in the other sense. So I'm interested to see where it goes from here. I like the heel persona. I like what they've done. And Shinsuke is a terrific talent. So those, to me, were the big winners.
Yeah, I love the great point there about Nakamura, a guy that historically it seems like they're never really sure what to do with him, but maybe they finally have the secret sauce for him here. So with the winners, there have to be some losers. Who ends up on the opposite end for you?
The opposite end for me, the one that stood out the most for me was Nia Jax. I don't understand the push on Nia Jax. I haven't understood it the whole time. She used to be someone who was criticized for being for injuring people in the ring and being a little too rough. She seemed to have gotten that under control, but now I watch that match and I'm watching these women do drop kicks to faces and violent other moves, and she's swinging the garbage can like she's swinging a scarf, and it was so noticeable that they were not hitting each other with these weapons. Don't have the weapons if you're not going to use them effectively and sell. That, to me, they just weren't selling, and she was swinging it like at 20%. I get that you don't want to hurt somebody, but it still has to be something that is believable. And none of those garbage can shots or chair shots or anything that the weapons that were being used in that match, particularly by her, were working at all. And again, her slowness and her sort of being in the ring with the other 9 that she was in there with did not help her because they were all much faster. Where her strength comes is in power, and it just doesn't work in that match. So I thought she came out of that match not looking very, very strong. And I just didn't like the stuff with the weapons, especially. I just was like, really? Like, not sure if anyone else noticed it, but I certainly did. The other one that really surprised me was the Damian Priest Gunther match. I found the crowd was dead silent for that match. If you go back and you watch that match again, I don't know, it's like you were watching, a Friday night SmackDown match that just meant nothing. The crowd just wasn't into it. They didn't enjoy it. Gunther did not seem to have the chemistry with Priest that he often has with other opponents. Oftentimes when I'm watching a Gunther match, I'm blown away by how, I'm not going to say violent, but how physical those matches can be. And these guys just seemed off. They seemed off the whole time, and I think the crowd picked that up. The crowd understood that what was happening, and then it was reflected by a quiet crowd, by a quiet audience. The other thing that I did not like was I did not like the finish. I did not like the submission pass out finish. We don't see those very often. You'll see a submission with a tap out. But the part that bothered me most was I feel that finish hurt Priest more than it could have benefited Gunther. I mean, you're talking about a guy who only has like 3 losses since 2022. He's had year-plus long championship reigns. There's nothing that Gunther can do at this point that can hurt his character. So trying to put him over with bringing Damian Priest to basically pass out and win the match, it just didn't work for me. And in fact, I think it hurt Damian Priest, the guy that they were pretty high on coming into this year, coming out of WrestleMania when they put that title on him. And he's fallen way off, and this match did nothing for bringing that back.
Yeah, a couple of tough spots there, as you mentioned. But the last big PLE of the year is now in the books. We're all getting ready for Royal Rumble to kick off in January with the whole Netflix expansion as well. So it's going to be a pretty big 2025 for WWE. Jan, we appreciate the time. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Jan Murphy, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.